and a couple of you have weighed in on the text line. The bottom line is a decision, an announcement, either backing Frank Martin and his staff and adding clarity because technically, now I don't know whether what will happen, but technically Jermaine Couisnard and Eric Stevenson and even Keyshawn Bryant have the opportunity to return for another year. Certainly, we've talked a lot about a guy like G.G. Jackson, who's just down the road and is going to make some kind of decision on his future, whether it's going to college, whether it's staying in high school, whether it's going to the G League. There's a lot of options that that young man has. But the bottom line is this is not a situation, in my opinion, in which the administration can let drag out really for more than 48 hours.
Right.
The clock for me started last night at, I guess, 9:15, 9:20, whenever it was official South Carolina would not get into the NIT. I I, I know, again, that a lot of you have a very strong opinion one way or the other, and that's perfectly fine. Right now, to me, the strong opinion should be a decision needs to be announced within the next 48 hours. And Patrick, we've talked about it now. Some of these job openings you see, Missouri is now open. Florida is now open, not because they chose to fire Mike White, but because that job's open.
But because they thought about potentially doing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why he moved on. LSU, who knows what LSU is going to get when we talk about notice of allegations? And boy, those got kind of ugly on Will Wade
Yeah.
and the assistants there. But those jobs, that's just a few that are open.
That's all. LSU is a whole discussion in itself, too, though. Just
So
the fact that they waited that long and were pretending to be shocked by.
it's true. It's they well, I to me, LSU, once they got the notice of allegations, it's like, all right, what do we have to do to save the football program?
Right. And it also, with everything that's going on off the field with the football program and all the allegations that have been levied against staff there, this is like Will Wade's notice of allegations was like the least big deal of everything that's happened at LSU off the field in the last like 3 years.
They make the move on Will Wade, and so you know, some of you, I'm with you. Again, I see a lot of reasons to bring Frank Martin back. I can see a lot of the reasons that a lot of you bring up if you're ready to move on. I can see both sides of the coin on this one. Um, text with a lot of people over the weekend about potential names that would possibly be interested. We won't go into that because there's no opening right now, but I do hope, I think this is where I want it to go, is I do hope that preferably by the end of business today,
Yeah.
South Carolina, Ray Tanner's come out with, hey, Frank Martin's our guy. We believe in him. We're going to give him another year. Or you've got the announcement today that, hey, we appreciate everything Frank Martin's done. It's time to go in a different direction. Whatever it is, again, I think you've got to, it needs to be done by 5 o'clock tomorrow, by the close of business tomorrow. You need to have that announcement out there so that if you want to start if you want to start a search for a new basketball coach, you get on it quickly, or you give Frank Martin and his staff the chance to look into the transfer portal, to figure out his roster for next year, to finish the recruitment of G.G. Jackson. Whatever it is, it needs to be done in the next basically 2 days.
Well, there's zero excuse for dragging your feet.
Right.
It's not like you didn't see this outcome possibly come. Like you knew that this was a possibility. South Carolina missing all postseason play, and you knew that the season might have been over when you lost that game in the SEC tournament. So you were prepared. You knew that missing the NIT was a possibility. You've probably, I hope, had discussions about this for the last couple of weeks, even as South Carolina started trending up the last few weeks of the season. You knew where we were headed. So if you don't have a decision made right now, then what are you doing? Whoever's making the decisions is doing a disservice to that job by not having these conversations and being ready to make a final decision. So I don't know what the holdup would be. Make an announcement today. There's really no excuse to not.
We'll also kind of keep our eye on the upstate, see if Clemson decides to make an announcement. The administration up there is kind of in the same boat. They need to make a decision. Clemson's dragging their feet on what they may or may not do with Brad Brunell. The Tigers 17-16 this year, and obviously lost that game to Virginia Tech, who went on to win the ACC tournament championship. But what do the Tigers elect to do with Brad Brunell? Are they going to keep him around for another year, or do they elect to move on and try and find a new head coach? So the state of South Carolina certainly not necessarily the way we want it to be with basketball information and basketball news, with whether or not the programs will keep their head coaches, but both administrations needing to make quick decisions on what they want to do, because Clemson's not exactly an attractive basketball job either. Now you look at the jobs that are open out there, and you may think, okay, well, we may as well just keep Brad Brunell instead of going down the job search the job search line and seeing who is available and who would want to come there. So both universities here in the state of South Carolina trying to make some big decisions. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100, how you can do that. We're currently trying to fill out our just kind of initial brackets before we move forward with, I guess, Patrick, when do you feel like you have your final official bracket in?
Right now.
This is it?
I do it one time, no thought, just read through it, pick my games, and I try to keep the same one every time. I don't make different brackets. I don't try to hedge my bets. There's like millions of combinations. I'm just thinking that when I do the perfect bracket, it's going to be because everything was right in just that exact moment that I filled it out and it was right. So when I plug this into the computer, it's going to be the exact same bracket.
Okay. So there's that. So we will continue to work on that this morning and have these ready with our picks by the end of the program. Again, if you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. One other thing from the weekend, some of the most, it was obviously I'm a big basketball fan. Enjoy the conference tournaments, the excitement of all that, some really fun games to watch. Patrick, I know you're not a huge golf fan, but some of the best television of the weekend was Saturday. The wins down at TPC, Sawgrass, the Players Championship, winds gusting up to as much as 40 miles an hour, and players trying to hit the green at 17 was phenomenal television on Saturday. They will play the final round, the third and the fourth round today, the third and final round today. They're trying to get this thing in. But Saturday was absolutely phenomenal. It's been a long, grueling week for players down in at Sawgrass down there at the Players Championship, and it'll be interesting to see. I know you probably won't get into it, but Saturday when you were at that wedding, I was in between soccer games and kind of bouncing around watching college basketball. But man, that little island green that's typically about a 9-iron or a pitching wedge for most people was very entertaining to see pros trying to deal with a terrifying setup and winds that were gusting again up to 30. I think it was up to I think the one they said was the strongest with 43 miles an hour, I believe is what I saw on the broadcast that night on the Golf Channel. So it was a very entertaining experience down there.
Were they like turning their bodies sideways and hitting into the wind, or
it's kind of, I was watching we got back late on Saturday night, and so I didn't get to catch all of it. Austin had a couple soccer games on Saturday, and I wasn't able to watch it as much as I really would have liked to. I was able to catch a couple ones here and a couple ones there, but that was actually very entertaining just from the standpoint of they were trying to hit knockdown shots. It's kind of down in a little swell. It's got some tents up around it, and again, a hill that kind of goes up. So if you hit it too high, the wind completely took control. So they're trying to hit knockdown shots, and they were really struggling. It was a lot of fun. I think if you're a golf fan, watching those guys struggle in the manner that they did certainly was very entertaining over the weekend. They'll wrap that thing up today, what a lot of people consider to maybe be the fifth major, or at least the prestige level of it, maybe up there as far as a major. 803-404-6100. Anonymous texter weighs in. The Gamecock men's basketball coaching job has to be more attractive than Clemson. Patrick, you got an opinion on one or the other? I don't know if one or the other.
I don't know. I think they're pretty even.
Yeah.
I mean, who pays more? Who makes more right now?
I don't know what Brunell makes off. I'm pretty sure it's Frank Martin.
If you were offered both of those jobs, I would take the one that offered me more money.
Yeah, that's probably the way it would be.
The end of it.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
If you don't like the color, yeah, there's that too. Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's
but
very,
I mean,
very strong opinion on this program.
The ACC would be the reason to say Clemson's better, but the ACC stunk this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's completely a toss-up. I don't know why one team would be better than the others at all. A little bit.
Yeah, a little colder.
Yeah.
Orange
State
is
capital.
ugly. So far, those
We're
are
in the
pretty
state
good.
capital.
Mm-hmm.
I like what you guys are doing. Very, very strong Gamecock flavor to the program this morning.
By the way, the live stream is up and running.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't realize that it wasn't until like 10 minutes ago, because Robin on the live stream said, yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's going to be a live stream ticket. And she commented that, and I was like, what? What are you talking about? So I guess you can comment in the preview on the YouTube, because we had it scheduled to start.
Gotcha.
Never actually clicked, went live. So
Okay.
now we are live.
Interesting.
Now we are live.
So we are,
as of 9 minutes and 40 seconds ago.
Yes.
Mhm.
so we are off and running on the Buford Lending live stream. You can go and join us there. Appreciate you all keeping us updated on that. You can join us, as always, via the phone lines, whether it's text message or a phone call, 803-404-6100. We got a lot to get into. We'll get back into the baseball, continue talking about basketball, look at our brackets, and we got to get back into Tom Brady has had enough of maybe the PTA meetings, maybe, as some of you pointed out, gas. Maybe he realized cooking dinner at night for the family, not quite as enjoyable. Standing out there and grilling, not quite as enjoyable as one would expect. Maybe bedtime stories were not his thing. I don't know. There's a lot of questions, but Tom Brady is back. He just couldn't get away. We need to get more of Patrick's thoughts also just on what it does for the NFL. A wild week of quarterback news. Commander Wentz reporting to Washington. You've got Russell Wilson now in Denver. Aaron Rodgers is still in Green Bay. And now Tom Brady is back.
Oh, and Kirk Cousins is going to cash another $40 million
Kirk
check, fully
Cousins.
guaranteed.
Kirk Cousins continues to become a rich guy. That is absolutely phenomenal. Did you see, I think, his career earnings?
I think it's $230 million.
$238 million.
He's gonna make $300 million as an NFL quarterback.
Unbelievable. We'll get Patrick's take on Tom Brady and actually just what it does for the NFL and what it does for maybe Super Bowl odds next year when we come back. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Time has officially changed. We sprung forward, and that means more hours to get out on the golf course and hit the golf ball, more hours to get out in the yard and play a little basketball, football, or baseball with the kids. But if you've been feeling a little under the weather lately, if you've had some pain in your back, it's time to get the results you deserve. Call the doctors at Casey Chiropractic this morning, 803-796-2424. That's how you can get in touch with the great doctors at Casey Chiropractic Center. As a matter of fact, there's a great donut place right next to them. You can go get your back fixed, go get your shoulders, your hips, your knees. If you've been suffering, go see what the doctors, Dr. Peyton, Dr. Roman Cooper can do. And then you can step next door and have a donut kind of as a reward. Not only will you feel better, you'll be ready to get back out in the yard. Casey Chiropractic Center, they offer reasonable upfront pricing, no gimmicks or hidden fees. They do not engage in high pressure sales or scare tactics. They work to get you back to living the lifestyle you need by doing it the natural way without sending you to surgery. They want to get you feeling better, feeling great, ready to enjoy your lifestyle. So don't wait any longer. Call Dr. Pate and Dr. Roman Cooper is the way to do that. 803-796-2424 is how you can get in touch with them. Again, fantastic guys. They've been in business each individually for 20 years. That's 40 years of combined experience. I know our good buddy Chuck on the live stream speaks very highly of them. So whether it's arthritis or joint pain relief, you want to reduce headaches, you want to help improve your sleep, whatever it may be, the doctors at Casey Chiropractic Center are ready to help you. Don't wait any longer. Call them now, 803-796-2424. Get in touch with the great doctors at Casey Chiropractic and get back to living the spring and summer you deserve to live.
Yeah, so good morning, everybody. We're here. Hi. We're not firing on all cylinders this morning. Bill doesn't have his laptop. I don't have my keys. I'm pretty concerned that my house and car keys are in Nashville right now. So I had to Uber here this morning. Forgot my coffee. Forgot a bunch of things. Yeah, that's right. The live stream is still on daylight savings time. Oh,
Yes. Thank you, Robin, keeping us. And good morning to everybody.
I heard a lot of people say that the Texas fans were pretty cruddy or obnoxious. Was that true, or were we just not in the mood for them? Was there anything specific that they did?
I wasn't able to watch as much. Again, we had a soccer tournament all weekend, so
Yeah.
I was trying to follow stuff from my cell phone and wasn't home like I wanted. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
not the weekend that I necessarily wanted in terms of being able to follow what I needed to follow.
Got a little bit of echo going.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna have to jump back off.
All is right with the world now.
All right, yeah, and then actually, if Jen is out next Friday, we need to have Dave here so you and I can be at Windermere. I just thought about that.
Mm.
Okay, I need to remember that one.
I'm supposed to stay and meet with Terry today, but I don't know if I'm going to do that because I need to Uber home.
Make him take you home. Just talk in the car.
Yeah. It's going to be so bad if my keys are in Nashville.
She's just gonna have to overnight them. Like,
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, she's just gonna have to look like this morning and get them and like just overnight them so that you at least have them tomorrow.
What time tomorrow? I don't even know.
Huh?
I don't even know what time I'd get them.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Well, if she,
It's going to cost me like probably $50 to Uber to and from work tonight. Ugh.
yeah, I was trying to think of. Yeah, I mean, I would honestly, if she's not awake yet, I would be like, I'd tell her, where do you think she? You think she just picked them up, or they would put?
I don't think she had.
You
I didn't
go to
drive.
Nashville, did you?
No, I didn't drive at all this weekend. So I don't know why she would have them, but they're not in my house. My house is not big enough that it would take me more than an hour to look for my keys.
When did you notice they were gone?
This morning, yeah.
Did y'all have anybody else stay with you this weekend? Or?
No. I mean, we might have taken them to the wedding because we needed to get into my house with my key, but we didn't use my key, so I don't know. They might be in her car.
Yeah, I would, because honestly, what is it? It's 6 o'clock up there, 6:25.
Yeah.
If she has them, like right now, and on her way to work, if she could drop them off and overnight them,
Yeah.
you'd have them tomorrow afternoon. I mean, yeah, you'd have to survive tonight, but they'd be to you tomorrow. You'd be able to drive to work tomorrow night, and you'd be back on.
You don't have a spare? I mean, obvious question, but
No, because I work overnight, so I can't ask someone to drive me at 5 a.m. when I get off. I guess I'll just do an extremely deep clean of my house today and check every nook and cranny as soon as I get home.
Probably going to have to trade up. I didn't want to go live. I was going to be changing a lot because it's a live mock draft that we're doing for agency. So remember.
7:27 on a Monday morning, March the 14th. NCAA tournament week officially upon us. That was the big news nationally yesterday. Well, for about 45 minutes. And then Tom Brady, Patrick, said, "You know what? I've had enough of this NCAA talk. Let's talk about me. I'm back. I'm going to play in Tampa for a 23rd season in the NFL." And look, you mentioned it. Statistically speaking, Tom Brady had one of his best overall seasons at 44 years of age. He'll be 45 in August. He's got Mike Evans back. Chris Godwin is back, I believe. They've got him for another year, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, they franchise tagged him again.
Yeah. Rob Gronkowski, I believe
He
could
can decide if he wants to come back.
Yeah, he could come back. You mentioned their offensive line is okay. They're okay there.
Well, that's an interesting part of it because they just re-signed Ryan Jensen, of one of the best centers in the league, for 3 years. He was almost definitely going to leave and go to probably Cincinnati. But a couple weeks ago, Ali Marpet, one of the best offensive guards in football, retired at 28. Like, had just had a career year, just signed a big deal, and retired at 28 years old. And most people are theorizing, obviously, he's made a bunch of money. He's content. He knows that the Bucks are about to stink. So he just said, here's as good a time as any. I got a Super Bowl ring. I got everything I need. I'm just going to hang him up. If Tom Brady had never retired in the first place, there's a pretty good chance Ali Marpet would have never retired either. And people were asking yesterday, texting him saying, "Are you on retiring too now?" And he said, "No, I'm good." So I think that he retired, started eating and eating like burgers and all that stuff, and decided, yeah, no, this is pretty good. I'm okay. I'm not going to unretire now. So there's a chance that the team actually would have been better right now had Tom Brady never retired. But free agency starts today, and we'll see what happens. They don't have a ton of money, but
No, they're
I
$3
know-
million over the cap as things stand
we'll
today.
see how they can restructure things. I mean, I do not understand how any of it works, how guys can get raises, how Aaron Rodgers can make $50 million a year and then create more cap space. Like, it does not make sense to me, but I'm sure they'll be creative somehow, some way. And I know Leonard Fournette had deleted a post about like saying goodbye to Tampa. So maybe Leonard Fournette will be back. And I mean, they're going to be a contender. It's as we had this conversation with the Packers. Like, every team in the NFC got worse. All the contenders from last year are going to get worse. The Rams are going to lose Odell, probably Von Miller. Andrew Whitworth's going to retire. They're going to end up paying Matt Stafford a ton of money, and their roster's just overall not going to be as good. The Packers are going to lose a couple defenders. They're not going to be as good. The 49ers maybe will take a step up depending on how Trey Lance looks, but if Trey Lance isn't good, then the 49ers will be worse. The Cowboys just traded Amari Cooper. We didn't even mention that. They traded Amari Cooper to the Browns. That was big. Jarvis Landry is going to request a trade now. No one got better in the NFC. So when you look around at who the contenders are, it's all the same characters from last year, and no one really took a step up. So the NFC is there for the taking for Tom Brady and the Bucks.
One thing that could be very interesting coming out end of last week and over the weekend, Patrick, is that basically it sounds like the Panthers are now going to make a strong offer on Deshaun Watson. It also sounds like Watson is at least going to talk to the Saints. What does it take? What, in your opinion, do the Panthers have to offer? What is it? The number 8 pick, I believe. Number 6.
Yeah.
8 was last year. Number 6 pick, Christian McCaffrey.
What
do you have to offer Houston to make this, not only to make it work from Houston's standpoint, but also to not take away too much from your current team where, yeah, we've added a great quarterback, but we've depleted ourselves for this trade so much that we don't have anything around him?
They're going to need to, well, it's going to be hard to not hurt your roster because, I mean, but the plan is you're going to have Deshaun Watson for 10 to 15 years. I mean, that's just what it's going to be. You're going to have to restart the rebuild around him. So I'm thinking it's going to take number 6, probably 2 other ones, and a combination of 2s and 3s and other day 2 picks, probably around 4 or 5 picks total. And it's going to probably take Brian Burns, which is a bigger deal for Panthers fans than Christian McCaffrey. I don't know why anyone would take Christian McCaffrey. I saw on the ticker that the Panthers were willing to trade Christian McCaffrey for a first-round pick, and all I was thinking is that if anyone trades a first-round pick for Christian McCaffrey, they should immediately lose their job. Like, that is one of the dumbest things that I could ever imagine, trading a first-round pick for an overpaid running back who's been hurt the last 2 or 3 years. It doesn't make any sense. So if they can get rid of Christian McCaffrey, by all means, yeah, trade Christian McCaffrey, Brian Burns, 3 firsts. And I would be happy with that as a Panthers fan.
Christian McCaffrey, Brian Burns, and 3 first-round picks this year, next year, and
the year after, I guess.
Whatever, 2025.
You can only trade them so far in advance. I don't think you can trade past 3 years of first-round picks. So maybe a couple 2s in there, or a random assortment of day 3 picks, maybe a couple pick swaps, or you can throw conditional picks in there. I don't know, but they want a cornerstone player. So Brian Burns is probably the most valuable defensive player that you have. I mean, you can argue Shaq Thompson is better right now, but nobody's going to want him. They want someone young that they can rebuild with. Derek Brown was good last year in year 2 as just a run stuffing defensive tackle, but the pass rusher is just a sexier position. And if you trade a big time pass rusher and then a couple first round picks, that's going to carry a lot of weight. And I know that the Texans are interested in the number 6 pick, because that would mean they'd have 3 and 6. So they'd have 2 top 6 picks. And the Saints are picking, I'm thinking somewhere in the teens.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just, I mean, picking in the two picks in the top 6, you can do a lot with that to rebuild your team. So the Panthers being in the top 10 really helps their case a lot.
We'll continue talking about that, get more thoughts on what Tom Brady returning to Tampa means, not only for the NFC, but now in terms of Super Bowl hopes for Tom Brady. You wonder, I don't think he regrets it, Patrick, but I'll ask you this coming up. If Tom Brady feels like he should have retired after the Super Bowl victory and walked away, or is this him wanting to walk out with a Super Bowl and go out completely on top like a John Elway, or is this just doing it for the love of the game? I'll get your opinion on that. We'll get back into some baseball discussion as well. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. If you've been dealing with joint pain and it slowed you down, guess what? Right now, you can get the new, better, smarter, non-surgical, non-invasive way to deal with that joint pain through QC Kinetics. Give them a phone call today, 803-281-6860. You can make this spring and summer your best ever with no joint pain holding you back. If you've been suffering with issues in muscles, in ligaments, you got some tissue problems, this is the relief you've been hoping for. That's right. You can fix your aching hips, knees, all the issues that you've had with the unique protocols from QC Kinetics, who were created by a physician with years of study in regenerative, restorative medicine. Right now, QC Kinetics is treating patients every day at hundreds of clinics nationwide with remarkable success. So give them a call today for a free consultation. 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. That's how you can get in touch with QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation. Again, this is the new, better, smarter, and most importantly, non-surgical way to deal with the joint pain that you probably have been experiencing. It'll restore and repair damaged tissue. And again, do it all with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Don't wait any longer. Call QC Kinetics today, 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. All right.
All right,
Can
can
you
you
mute
mute
my
my
mic?
mic
There.
there?
Okay. Now let's see if that has the okay, but I still got to keep working on this my bracket here. We're slowly working through it.
I just can't figure out who's playing for the national championship. I know I'm putting Kansas in it though. Just feels right.
Ooh, see, I don't have Kansas in the Final Four.
I think Kansas got the best draw. You have Auburn in the Final Four.
That is correct.
Yeah. Auburn's been losing too many big games.
Oh, we got a big upset already. I got a Cinderella.
How many first four teams do you have winning games? I got Indiana and Rutgers winning their first round matchups.
No, I got Alabama. I got them. Oh, I like this pick. I like this. I like where I'm going with this. I'm not crazy about that North Carolina Marquette game.
Yeah, I was torn on that one.
Do you go with the red hot team Vitek or do you take Texas?
I took Texas.
Mm.
Virginia Tech's too hot. It was the right gym for them.
Right, Jim.
I try to go against that now. Every year there's a trend in my bracket. And this year the trend is fading the teams that are hot right now.
I'm tempted to take Murray State over Kentucky. Eight 803-404-6100. How you can be a part of the program this morning. We've been talking some national news a lot because, well, in case you haven't seen or lived under a rock, Tom Brady has elected to return to the NFL, so he will not retire. We've also been talking about the NCAA basketball tournament. I'm currently working on my bracket now. Patrick's got his ready to go. Jen is working diligently in there, I think, trying to make sure the show does not go up in flames, but maybe we'll get around to getting her NCAA tournament bracket. Also,
It's gonna take me a little time.
How did you do yesterday on our NASCAR? Apparently, I did not do well, is what I gathered. Denny Hamlin was in there. I had Hamlin, right? That's what I took.
Yeah, and he was kind of struggling off and on during the race, but he didn't do bad. Kyle Larson ended up having a mechanical failure, so that took him out towards the end of the race. So it ended up where actually Reggie did the best pick because he had Kyle Busch, who was 7th, and Kerry had Chase, who was 11th, and Denny Hamlin came in 13th, and then
Okay.
Larson finished 34th. So,
Gotcha. Yeah.
so you're leading by 1 point.
So that was I continue to lead that. We'll get Kerry Tharp back on Thursday to get you ready for this upcoming weekend. But we've been discussing certainly the NCAA tournament. We'll see. I gave Jen a bracket earlier. Might be easier for her to unveil her national championship and Final Four picks tomorrow. We'll give her she's trying to, again, make sure the program does not completely go off the rails here. We're asking a lot from her, but
Mhm.
we're working on ours. We'll get you our picks here in the third hour. But the other thing we've been talking about locally, South Carolina yesterday takes both games from the University of Texas, the number one ranked Texas Longhorns, who are sticking around the state of South Carolina. Will head down to Charleston and play a couple games. Patrick, though, yesterday, great pitching performances. No other way to describe it. Great pitching performances from Will Sanders, and we've come to expect that from Will Sanders. Now, it's going to be interesting how Mark Kingston elects to use Will Sanders moving forward. Do you run him out there on Friday night? Do you say, yeah, he's our Friday night guy, and we're going for that one victory where you put him up against the other team's ace? We've seen them move guys around in the past. Do you run him out there on a Friday night now against the other team's ace? And look, all pitchers in the SEC are typically your Friday, Saturday, Sunday guys are going to be good. But do you maybe hold Will Sanders for Saturday to put your best guy in a little bit better position to try and get a win? What do you do with him? Because you've got to be a little strategic. And then let's see what Matthew Becker can do. Is this a guy who can now complement Will Sanders? True freshman, lefty from Chapin High School. Fantastic yesterday. Absolutely fantastic. Really the surprise of the weekend. But how Mark Kingston elects to play that, because give Mark Kingston credit. That was the difference in this series. Mark Kingston making a very strategic move to hold Will Sanders for that 7-inning game, the first game yesterday, because you figured Sanders could give you at least 6 innings, maybe 7, save your staff and win the game himself. South Carolina hit the ball, but they also won 4-2. It's not like the third game where they just put up 9 runs on the board.
Yeah, but then, I mean, you do almost sacrifice Friday, which is what happened last week. I mean, obviously the game still has to be played. There's still 27 outs to get, but by not starting Will Sanders on Friday, I don't think many people felt like South Carolina had a chance of winning that game. I mean, I usually don't, but it's not like last weekend on last Friday, you go ace versus ace with Mac Anglin and Will Sanders. It's not like Will Sanders didn't do his job or it was the other starter, because he outlasted Anglin. So everything kind of went according to plan last Friday. It was just the bullpen that blew it. And you're never going to be able to avoid that problem. You're always going to have to get another guy in there unless you get rain every single weekend and get 7-inning doubleheaders. Then you do that every weekend. I think that probably will be the plan. If this happens again and you get a doubleheader on Saturday or something like that, I do feel like he's probably just going to throw Will Sanders out there for the 7-inninger. But it still feels important to get a Friday night win or have a chance at a Friday night win every week, because there's a lot of momentum going into the rest of the weekend if you can take game one. And it was at the end of the day, it was a gutsy call to not start him on Friday, because if you lose Friday night and then Will Sanders doesn't win his Saturday start, you're just doomed. I mean, you're almost guaranteed to get swept. All the momentum's on their side in your ballpark. Like, it's just not a good situation. So, I mean, it was a smart decision, but it was a gutsy decision as well. It was risky.
Well, this was, I think, a lot easier than it will be this coming week. Yesterday's decision, this weekend's decision was a lot easier because of what you just said. You get the 7-inning game on yesterday against Texas, and it's a lot to ask Will Sanders to be perfect every time out, but he's put together fantastic performances now back-to-back weeks. Again, it gets lost in what happened last weekend because, as you mentioned, the Saturday and Sunday game really got away from South Carolina.
Right.
But the performance by Will Sanders against Clemson was very good. He gives South Carolina every opportunity to win.
It was
that
14
ball game.
strikeouts.
Exactly. It was very good. And then obviously yesterday in that first game, and that was the point, is, again, a very strategic, smart move to say, hey, I think our ace here might be able to throw a 7-inning complete game and win the ballgame. Give us a chance. If you, because I would assume going in, you think, hey, we might be able to get to 3 runs. Sanders can hold them to 2, and that's exactly how it played out. And then you've got Michael Braswell who comes in. Obviously, that's probably not what's going to happen this coming weekend because of the rain. I don't know how many times you can rely on Mother Nature to intervene and give you a 7-inning game at some point during the weekend. I think the key thing here is maybe you get Julian Bosnick back healthy.
Right.
And he can go. And then maybe you've got a guy you could throw out on Friday night and hope to get away with a Bosnick, Braswell, or, some Parker Coyne comes in. Somebody comes in. Wesley Sweat was a little bit better this weekend. and then you can go to Sanders on Saturday and hope that he can carry you.
There's, I would assume, not an issue on 2 days less rest than normal for Will Sanders. Like, do you not throw him on Friday night just because he pitched 6 inning on Sunday? I don't think that should be an issue for a college kid. The turnaround, a 5-day turnaround isn't too much, I wouldn't think. I mean, I don't know anything about pitchers, but that's usually fine, right? 5
He
days.
should be fine to go.
But
I
if
mean,
you
that's-
decide, hey, we'd rather him just get one more day and start him on Saturday and then kind of reset it the next week for Vanderbilt, and he can go Friday night against Vanderbilt. But I mean,
yeah, he threw 103 pitches. I mean, obviously, we're talking about a sophomore in college and not a professional player. But
38-year-old MLB.
yeah, with a big difference. But I would think it'd be okay. But to me, I would follow through. I think you have to throw because he's a year younger. Matthew Becker. I think you give him
You have to give him
that
a
full
chance.
rest.
Yeah.
But you put Becker on Sunday again.
Sure.
He's earned that right to go. Now, where do you go on Friday night? South Carolina will have a game tomorrow night. Gardner Webb over at Founders Park, 7:00. You can hear it here on 107.5 The Game. You can check it out on the SEC Network. Plus, we'll continue talking about that. And again, we'll get back into Tom Brady as well as talking a little college basketball. We're working on our picks, and we will most definitely have those here for you by the end of this program so that you can completely fade our bracketology picks. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. So this weekend was neat, right? Didn't we have like a low in the 20s? That meant your heating unit better have been working very, very well. But good news, tomorrow the high in the 70s. We go back to possibly having to use your air conditioner. It is that time of year when the heating and air unit at your house is getting an extreme workout. You want both the heating portion and the air conditioning portion to be working properly. That's why you need to get in touch with AAA Heating and Air. Just $59 is all it will take to get them out to your house and have them do an inspection of your heating and air unit. Make sure that everything's running properly, that all the coils, all the fluids, everything is good for the upcoming summer months. Because let's be honest, most of you are familiar with the South Carolina summers. They are fantastic. They're incredibly hot. You want that air conditioner to be working. Don't wait. Call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. Tell them you heard it here on 107.5 The Game with Bill Gunner. $59 for that inspection. Then, if you have an issue, if you need something fixed, AAA Heating and Air, that's where they step in and really shine the best. They will take care of you. A $1,500 rebate to buy back your old unit. Work with you. No money down, 0% financing on a brand new unit. And on top of all that, a 15-year parts and labor warranty to make sure the new unit continues working. Don't wait around. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 803-677-1500. That's AAA Heating and Air. 7:54 on a Monday morning, March the 14th. We are into the NCAA basketball tournament. On the guys' side, Gonzaga, Arizona, Kansas, Baylor, all your number one seeds. Patrick, I have gotten my full Final Four filled out,
Okay.
and I'm down to the two teams playing for the championship. And I don't feel like right now the Final Four would be something that would be all that thrilling for people to watch.
You have Gonzaga. You have Texas Tech,
Mm-hmm.
Auburn,
Mm-hmm.
Arizona,
No.
Tennessee,
Nope.
Villanova.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got a
And
two
and Baylor.
and Baylor.
Yeah, that
Texas
wouldn't be good.
Texas Tech and Baylor have met twice this year. Texas Tech has won both games. Villanova and Auburn. We will get into our bracket picks in the next hour. Couple upsets. When does Coach K go out?
I keep going back and forth on that. I would love for Izzo to knock him out.
I got another one that I think people would love more.
Hmm.
I got another one that people would love more.
Hmm.
Who is some of the bigger underdogs? We'll get into the NCAA bracket pool. Also, the women, the number one overall seed on the NCAA women's tournament. We'll talk a little bit about that. Get back into that Tom Brady stuff. Get Patrick's take. Tom Brady coming back to the Bucks. Yeah, he says the roster didn't really improve, but are they a Super Bowl contender next year? We'll talk about that. A lot to get into. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
I'm ready whenever you guys are.
Apparently, Devontae Adams informed the Packers that he will not play under the franchise tag. And they are very far apart on a long-term deal. Uh-oh.
The official Gunter bracket has been filled out. The champion is named. We will get into that this hour. It's the early game. Bill Gunter, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. A beautiful Monday morning. A little chilly out there, but it's going to warm up, get into the 60s today as we move forward. It was a kind of a nasty, ugly weekend. It rained. It poured rain at about 11:30 on Saturday morning. How do I know that, you ask? Because I was at a soccer game, being standing in the rain, Jen. It was not the kind of weather. It's the kind of weather that you truly show your kids how much you love them when you stand in the cold rain and they're getting beat.
But you're making memories, and it's
Oh, there
fun
was
to see the
memories.
kids all dirty and messing around, sliding around, and yeah, it's good times.
Laundry, yes, the parents of our soccer academy team, the laundry was certainly
What color pants do they wear?
black. We had red jerseys, black pants,
See,
black socks.
we forever Trent played baseball, so it was always white pants.
Mm.
We occasionally lucked out with some gray, but for the most part it was white. And I just figured that it was men that made that decision because they weren't the ones that were trying to figure out how to get the clay out of white pants every weekend.
An interesting
Goodness.
backhanded shot at men. Glad you don't
Somebody-
harbor any ill will on that one.
Not at all. Oh my gosh, but yeah. Mm-mm. So good for you only having black pants at least. So somebody was at least wise in your league.
The coach then on the night game went with white jerseys, white socks. We have
Yeah.
black pants. That's the
Yeah.
standard. Patrick, you remember the messiest game, lacrosse or anything that you ever played in?
No, it was football. I
Was-
remember having to ride home in the trunk of our car because that was so muddy.
Wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Is
I-
that loud? Like
up.
that
They kept
seems
the
like
lid up.
I remember the game. It was against Frederick, Tuscarora versus Frederick, and it was just a complete mud bowl, and I had to play on the line, so I was extremely dirty, and I think we just laid a blanket down in the trunk, and I just sat in the trunk on the way home.
Wait, like in a station wagon, not like a.
I think it was an Expedition.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
So the
all right.
back end. Of the
So
vehicle.
yeah, so
No,
'cause
there was plenty of space. I wasn't
trunk.
just like
A trunk
yeah.
implies that your dad was in the mafia and that you laid you
No,
down in
no,
the
no.
trunk and closed.
I
and
guess
were
it technically wasn't. I don't know. It's still a trunk, but it's just behind the third
way
row.
down.
I was
okay.
I could sit up and see above the seats, but I
Okay.
was
I
just
thought maybe he just literally had
crisscross.
him sit in the trunk,
the
but
trunk.
with the trunk lid open.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
not
I
shut.
just figured that Patrick didn't have far to go, and his dad was like, "Just lay in the trunk, son.
Yeah.
Just hang out back. Don't worry, we're not going far. Like, and we won't
Watch the
forget you
bumps.
when we get out of the
Mm.
the car." Yeah, it was.
I remember that vividly. We picked up China Garden on the way home too, though, so it was worth it.
Picked up what?
Oh,
China
Chinese.
Garden, yeah.
Oh, China Garden.
Chinese
Okay.
food sounds
Yeah.
really good right now.
At 8:03
Yeah.
on a Monday morning, Chinese food.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you stay up all night partying?
No,
Just celebrating?
no, but I don't know why that just struck me.
Okay,
I don't know.
all
My
right.
oatmeal just went out the window.
Learning a lot of stuff about us this morning. I'd be interested. Maybe it's not really the conversation for today, but the dirtiest games you ever played in, not watched, because
Oh, sports.
sports,
Okay.
yeah, sports. Because good Lord, Jen, but yes, because there were puddles on the I'd say 6 inches deep, 10 inches deep. I don't think they were a full foot deep, but there were puddles on that soccer field that were absolutely the ball would just stop in the puddle.
Yeah.
Like just you'd kick it. It was just like kicking it into a pond. The ball would just completely stop. And the other team, who I think was from Greer or somewhere in the upstate, their strategy, Jen, the other team we were playing had gone all white uniforms on Saturday morning. So it was rainy, it was cold. Their coach's strategy, very smart actually, was to have his team roll around on the ground pregame. I'm not joking about that. They were ready to go from the get-go.
Well,
I mean, you're going to be in it. It was
Yeah,
It was just
Get
go ahead, guys.
acclimated.
Go
Yep.
ahead and get so. That was our weekend. It was entertaining. Then Saturday night was very cold. Sounds like you had the wedding that you were able to survive. And
The sun came out for the perfect amount of time. I
okay,
think it was a 3:30 wedding, and there was a cocktail hour, and it was windy, but we were back inside by 5 o'clock, and it was in Lexington. The sun was out for about
Okay.
2 hours in Lexington there.
Yeah.
I couldn't
So-
complain.
I could have been invited, Patrick, but whatever. Okay. I could have
was
said
it
hi.
Patrick's wedding again? What do you?
Well, he could have invited me to like tailgate in the parking lot.
It was an open bar.
okay. Well, there you go.
See?
MC.
Hello.
Yeah. So there was that from the weekend. Other stuff from the weekend. South Carolina on Saturday dropped the game 1 decision to Texas, 9-5. Noah Hall got the start in that game. And again, I had been at soccer, so we had soccer that morning. I knew the game started at 1:30, but I was surprised, Patrick, just because I guess I had not gone back after we left. You weren't here on Friday, but after we left, Jen, we had been saying all morning the game Friday was moved from 7 p.m. to 1 p.m. on Friday. I actually thought they made a great decision to just go ahead and postpone the Friday game. Being that it's a home game, because the weather held out until about 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I believe, Friday afternoon. It was nice. I think they could have gotten that baseball game in, but I thought it was a great decision by the administration because you were going to have almost zero fans when you move the game up that quickly. And so whether they made the decision based on weather or because someone there was like, hey, there's going to be almost nobody here at this Friday game because of moving it up 6 hours, kind of late notice, I thought it was a great decision. But when I flipped on the game on Saturday afternoon, I see Noah Hall pitching and not Will Sanders, and was like, huh, that's an interesting decision. Turns out it was the right decision. I think you got to give Mark Kingston a lot of credit. Look, if you want to criticize him for the Clemson series, and a lot of you did, rightfully so, you got to also give him a lot of credit for strategically putting Will Sanders in a position on Sunday in the 1:30 game for a 7-inning game to be able to go 6 or 7 innings and win the ball game for South Carolina. That's exactly what he and Michael Braswell did.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have ever really thought about it. If Will Sanders just started game 1, I don't think we'd be here on Monday. Say he started game 1 and they blew the save. Someone blew the save.
Right.
Would we have come in here on Monday and said that was a mistake by Kingston? He had an opportunity to go ahead and just start Will Sanders and let him go. No one would have ever thought of it. So the fact that he did, props to him. I wonder how much of it was his decision or Justin Parker coming in and also suggesting like, hey, Will went 7 last time he started, so we just put him out there again. You can pretty much guarantee that you only need one more pitcher at best. So hats off to them. It set the momentum for a great Sunday and start him off on the right foot. So I think it was a good decision.
803-404-6100. Dan in Dalzell says he doesn't think Patrick knows what a trunk is.
Is it? I mean,
I never would have labeled an SUV as the trunk. Again, when you said it, my first thought was like, wow,
In the back
he
of
put
it,
you
yeah.
in a trunk, kind of
just
like
in the way back.
what the mafia does to
what would you
people who
consider
don't.
the back of an SUV? There
Third-
isn't a
third
trunk.
row. Yeah, third row. Yeah, whatever.
Just
That includes
in
the
the
fourth
back of
row.
it.
And Ronnie weighs in and says he was the DJ at the wedding you were at.
You did a good job.
Okay, there you go.
Oh,
Thank you.
nice.
Had a good time. So 803-404-60
I did tear it up.
on the dance floor?
Yeah.
Oh, don't know if I'd have seen that one coming.
Oh no, I always do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's the go-to? Is it the Michael Jackson when they play Michael Jackson, or are you a Macarena
No,
guy?
I actually
or-
don't know how to do the regular wedding dances. Like, what are the typical wedding dances that everyone's in unison? I don't know. The Cupid shuffle. I don't know how to do it. I was just following people around, but I had to get it explained to me. But ultimately, at the end of the night, after there was an open bar, so after 3 or 4 hours, I was ready to roll.
Good to see that.
We had a
you
good time. It
were-
was a buffet style food too, so I was
Okay.
just making rounds every couple minutes.
So-
Yeah, the electric slide. I don't know how to do the electric slide.
okay.
Thank you, RL.
So all in all, you had a great
great time, yeah.
weekend. Women's basketball with a good weekend. They will be the number 1 seed in the women's tournament. They're the number 1 overall seed in the women's tournament, and we will see how that goes for Dawn Staley and her team as they get going here this coming weekend here at Colonial Life Arena. The interesting thing about that was the fact that Iowa and Caitlin Clark gets put in their regional, so maybe we get an Elite 8 showdown between Clark and Aaliyah
Tell me
Boston.
that was not by design.
Yeah, I mean, you want that's what we would want, I would think. You'd
Mhm.
like to see
I
that.
agree.
I mean, I think that game would be good for women's basketball.
That's the only way to make sure that it happens. I mean, you can never guarantee that it happens with how the seating would work, but it's not like you can put them on opposite sides of the bracket
Right.
and then hope that they both make the national championship. That won't
Right.
work.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's the right way to do it. The action at Colonial Life Arena will actually begin on Wednesday night because one of the play-in games, Incarnate Word will take on Howard on Wednesday at Colonial Life Arena, 7 o'clock. The game will actually be on ESPNU as well. But if you want to get out and check that out, you can buy tickets for it. But because it's the play-in game, one of those play-in games, the women's tournament going to a 68 team field this year. But the winner of that game will then get South Carolina on Friday here at Colonial Life Arena. It's considered the Greensboro region, but the Gamecocks will open their tournament run here against either Incarnate Word or Howard. And again, those two teams will arrive in Columbia early and play Wednesday night over there at Colonial Life Arena, with the winner getting the nice little prize of facing South Carolina in the opening round on Friday. So there's that. Again, we'll talk more about that throughout the week as we get you ready for that. We have filled out our brackets, and I've got my championship game. Have you got your championship game
No.
ready to go? Okay. All right. We'll give
Only
you
one side. I mean, I have everything filled out except for who Kansas is playing in the title game.
Okay. Oh, so you got Kansas on
I
one.
got
All right.
Kansas in the title.
So during the break, maybe we'll put a little pressure on you to get that finished, and we'll give our picks in the next one.
All right. I know they're going to play.
The other news of the weekend, obviously last night, South Carolina does not make the NIT tournament, and that will bring a close to their season. What happens next with South Carolina basketball? We've discussed this a lot, really, over the last, I'd say, 45 days. South Carolina going from 4-7 at one point in conference, Patrick, to finishing 9-9. I didn't get to talk with you. They played on Thursday night. You were out Friday, but certainly that Thursday night game against Mississippi State got ugly. It was 36-34 at halftime. South Carolina shoots just a tick below 13% in the second half. They were 4 of 31. It was very ugly. They would go on to lose by 22 points, and that put a wrap on their season. And now we'll see what direction the administration wants to go. It played out publicly, unfortunately, for I think Frank Martin, and was a bad look for the university last year. That's why another reason why I think Ray Tanner, we've talked about it. We say, well, you've had time. You've had not only since last Thursday, but really you've had a year to kind of set the standard and the goal. And look, there has been improvement. Last year was an awful year. 6-15 was a very bad year. It was one of the worst Gamecock basketball seasons we've seen in a long time. This year was an improvement. 8-13, 9-9 in the SEC. But I don't know if that fits what Ray Tanner and his administration wanted to see from Frank Martin and this team. And now you wonder what the turnover on the roster could be like. I do think the G.G. Jackson situation at Ridgeview factors into what you do with Frank Martin. There's a lot of factors here, but you've had time to kind of weigh the pros and cons, and a decision should come pretty quickly, you would assume.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's a tough decision to make, and it would have been a better time to be in the coaching market last year. There's going to be a lot more competition this year, and obviously the G.G. Jackson thing weighs heavy, and you would love for, if you were going to make a change, for it to have happened a year ago so that someone else could be building that relationship and not just the week or two before he's ready to make a commitment, pulling the plug and hiring a new coach. And I don't know if you completely kiss your chances of him goodbye if you make a change, but that's just the way it is. I mean, if you set the standard of it's tournament or bust this year, and South Carolina does not make the NCAA tournament, they also don't make the NIT tournament, then that's just what it is. You got to stick to your guns, and there's plenty of people. It's not like everyone wants him gone. There's plenty of people that are on the side of bring him back, either way, you just need to make an announcement. Just make it clear right away.
Mhm.
I think we said the same thing about football with the offensive coordinator, where a decision needed to be made and it
Correct.
needed to be an
Exactly.
announcement, but there was never an announcement. That's just the way it was. So don't drag this along and just say, "Wait, what do you mean? We're keeping Frank." Make an announcement, make it clear. I don't know if he needs to put out a statement or if there's a press conference that needs to happen. Just announce it and make sure that everybody knows and make sure that if the decision is clear. Don't put out a statement saying we're evaluating all of our options. Put out a statement with your final answer. There's no reason to delay it anymore. And yeah, I mean that last game was ugly. And I think it all pretty much gets summed up by Keyshawn Bryant missing a dunk to make it a 1 point game and then a transition bucket to make it a 5 point game. And then South Carolina was never close again for the rest of the contest.
Yeah, and I'm with you. You put out be definitive. Say you're backing Martin. Make it clear that the recruiting class that's potentially coming in that could involve GG Jackson is a big part of that. Again, technically, Cousinard, Eric Stevenson, Keyshawn Bryant, technically they all have an extra year of eligibility remaining, and there would be a level of, I think, trying to persuade those guys that come back. And so the bottom line is, to me, regardless of what you think out there, and I think there's a lot of very valid opinions on both sides of the coin. Regardless of what you think, whether he should be let go or whether he should be retained, and I would assume Frank Martin would agree. Make the decision. Get the process over with. Don't leave Martin, his staff, the players, and again, I think to some extent the fan base. Don't leave them hanging. Get the
Yeah.
decision done with today, tomorrow at the latest, and move on. And you're right, Patrick. Look, I think South Carolina is an attractive job in some ways. I think it's unattractive in some ways. If the job comes open, we'll get into that and break it down and where I think South Carolina should go if the job does come open. But the bottom line is Ray Tanner, the administration, everybody needs to be on the same page and they need to make it public what's going to happen next. And I think they need to do it within the next really 48 hours, maybe even less than that. I guess I'd probably say 36 hours now by close of business tomorrow. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in and be a part of the program. I've got my NCAA tournament picks ready to go. We'll get Patrick's when we come back. We'll also get into some Tom Brady news and what exactly his return means in Patrick's eyes for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' potential Super Bowl championship in 2022. We got a lot to cover here as we roll through one more hour of the early game. It's Bill Gunner. It's Patrick Pratt. It's Jen Jensen. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Kind of dawned on me because I don't have my computer that I'm kind of using a couple different things here. Um, it's 8 o'clock. I was told that news on Martin could start to be.
confirmed. My keys are in Nashville.
I'd tell you it's 7:21. I would have her. I would say I need you to get to the post office as soon as I know she's got to work. But
Yeah.
because if she gets them there at 8 o'clock this morning, and overnights them, you'll have them no later than. I mean, you won't have them. You won't have them tonight to get to work or anything.
No.
But if she overnights them, you'll have them. You'll have them at worst case by the time it's time to go to work tomorrow night. You just have to. If you call me, I'd come by and pick you up in the morning, so you don't have to spend money on an Uber. Or
No.
one of those.
I guess I could always just do it from the house as well if I need to.
That actually, if you wanted to do that,
My car is unlocked, so that.
But I guess my point is like, yeah, she needs to go to the post office now. I think
Yeah.
the post office opens at 8 a.m. But she needs to get there, get them overnighted. And then you'll have them. If she does it now, I would think you'd have them by lunch tomorrow.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would make sense. If you just want to do it from your house in the morning, that's no problem. That'll save you, and plus give you a little bit extra sleep. And
Well, I won't sleep afterwards. I don't sleep between
what?
work and this.
Oh no, I just mean like, yeah. Well, I mean like you.
I guess I am glad that their location is known at least.
Yeah. But yeah. Make all that work. I gotta decide if I want to try that. You eat Reuben sandwiches?
Yeah. Love them.
You think Arby's would have a good one?
Yeah, I love Arby's.
Oh, I like Arby's. I just well, I might try that today. But I'm thinking if I work out, I might eat that, and then I'll go sit in the sauna and stuff. Tonight. I'm getting the indigestion at night, and I need to. But I'm at the bar because I don't. I'm gonna fall for that every time.
It's been such a long time.
I'm semi-proud. We've been able to do the whole thing here, and I don't have my computer. I'm playing off the iPad. I don't have headphones. Like I just proof really don't need anything to do a radio show. Just
Not even a brain.
sorry, this headphone I can only hear it in this ear.
Oh, I gotcha. So you didn't hear me say anything about you not needing a brain?
And I'm not watching the live stream.
To what? We don't know how this works.
8:26 on a Monday morning, March the 14th. What we have been talking about this morning is the weekend that was for South Carolina. They take 2 of 3 from the number 1 ranked Texas Longhorns in baseball. What appeared to be a very smart strategical move by Mark Kingston to set up Will Sanders for success yesterday in the 1:30 game. Leads to a Gamecock Series victory. Very good for them. We've also been talking about the NCAA basketball tournament. We'll give our picks here in just a second as we appear to finally have our brackets filled out. Are you good? You got to.
Can I go back a second? Did you just say strategical? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, it's a word, right?
Strategical?
Keep talking. I'm looking it up.
No, it's not a word. Strategic.
Strategic. Okay.
I bet honestly there are a lot of words that just actually do have definitions that no one would ever use. I would not be completely surprised if
I'm
Google
pulling it up
strategical
here.
and
I'm
it's a
pulling
real
up
word.
here.
I just
Business jargon used to describe an action that is both of strategic and tactical importance.
strategical.
STRACTICAL.
Okay. I'll give you that one because boy, I sure didn't think that was a word.
Business jargon used to describe an action that is both strategic and tactical importance. Therefore, strategically tactical. I'm reading the.
And what website?
There's multiple.
I'm seeing it. I think there's a little bit of a gray area here.
Oh, okay. That's kind of where I would be. Like,
There is a.
You were going for strategic, but strategical
No, I
is
was
still a
going-
word.
Yeah, I was going to strategical management and consultancy. There's a company somewhere.
okay, so a company made up their own name.
Hey, look,
But if I went to dictionary.com or Webster's dictionary
there's a lot of things on this where it says, "Are you a strategical project manager?"
on that one website? Or
No,
just in
again,
your
on
search?
the whole search.
Fascinating. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Look
I
at
feel
that.
like that was a victory for me.
Well, it is because
In a way.
honestly, you actually, it was lucky, is what it was.
No, I've used that word.
I've probably questioned
I've
it
used it on
before.
the show more, just talking about in relation to a few strategies that coaches will have from time to time. But that's why when you said like, "What'd you just say?" I was like, "Well, no, we've used that one. That one's been."
Doesn't mean it's been correct. But see, and I'm always willing to learn. I want to learn. So
Mhm.
look at that.
Mhm.
Just opened our horizons. So continue with your NCAA talk.
So we've got our picks. Patrick, you've got your have you got your national champion?
Yeah, I'm
now?
ready.
You're ready? All right.
Yeah.
I'll do this first and then you can follow up here. So we've got our picks. We filled out our bracket. This will be, I guess, the official Gunter bracket. I'll just go with this one. I mean, it's not like it's going to get any better or there's going to be any information that I used to change. So just a few highlights. My final four. Texas Tech and Baylor. I'm
Okay.
not thrilled about that. That would not be a game.
We're going to have none of the same Final Four, which is good, I think.
Texas Tech and Baylor on one side. I have Texas Tech. Texas Tech has beaten Baylor both times they played in conference this year. Texas Tech has won both times they've played in conference. So I chose Baylor to be one half of my national championship game. Okay. The other side, I like Villanova. I like maybe the best coach in the tournament in Jay Wright. I like Colin Gillespie. I think it's a gritty, hard-nosed team. I look at their path. I've got them beating Loyola. I've got Colorado State and Nico Medved getting past Michigan and upsetting Tennessee. I've got Villanova knocking off Arizona, and I've got Villanova. In the bottom part of that bracket, the Midwest, I've got Auburn. I've got a pretty traditional Sweet 16 Elite Eight. Kansas is the 1 seed. I got Auburn as the 2 seed. Wisconsin is the 3 seed. I got Iowa as the 5 seed. I did steal your South Dakota State pick.
Okay.
You sold me on that.
It makes too much sense.
So I went with you on that, but I got Iowa and Kansas, Wisconsin and Auburn. I got Auburn knocking off Kansas. So I got Villanova, Auburn. I think that would be a really fun matchup there. I do have Villanova winning, a little bit tougher team. I like the guard play a little bit better there. So I've got a Baylor Villanova national championship game. I don't think that would attract many people to the NCAA, especially when you consider it's like a 9 p.m. start time. I don't think that would be very attractive. But the bottom line, Villanova, Baylor. I got Villanova winning the national championship. Couple real quick points and then get you. I got Vermont, number 13 seed with the upset over Arkansas. Okay. That was one of the big upsets. I've got Davidson knocking off our boy Scott Hayes' Michigan State team. And I've got Davidson beating Duke.
Love it.
Got
I love
Davidson,
that.
the in-state Davidson team knocking off Duke, ending Coach K's tenure. That's one of my big upsets. I mentioned South Dakota State. I really was torn. I kind of wanted to take Murray State to knock off Kentucky in the round of 32. Instead, I'm going to go with Kentucky getting all the way to the Elite Eight, but losing to Baylor. So that was kind of the highlights of my bracket. Colorado State going on a run. I think there's going to be a lot of great basketball games played, but I kind of side with chalk. I do have Texas Tech beating up on Gonzaga in the Elite Eight because I don't think the Zags handle physical teams well. We saw that last year with Baylor, and that's why I had Texas Tech getting out of the West over the Zags.
All right. I think the theme of mine is bucking the trend of who's the hot team right now in a way, and then also two teams that are technically worse than they were last year going to heights that they never achieved last year, because I do have Gonzaga in the national championship again. And maybe I'll just do this every year until they finally win one. I have Gonzaga winning the national championship. They're not as good as they were last year. Last year, people were saying this is the greatest team of all time. And I just like the idea of they lose 3 first-round picks or 3 NBA guys, and now they're somehow better. And I don't think they're better. I don't think Chet Holmgren should be the number 1 pick. I agree with you about the not being physical enough. Drew Timmy's an undersized center. Chet Holmgren is probably 160 pounds. I mean, he's literally the skinniest person I've ever seen in my life. So I agree with you, but I just somehow they're going to make it work this year. On the other side, I have Illinois making the Final Four. They lose Ayo Dosunmu, who's doing really well, and Kofi Coburn's just kind of by himself now. But somehow they'll just keep rolling. I think it was Loyola Chicago that beat them last year, if I remember correctly, because I had them in the national championship last year. The Midwest region, I think Kansas has a great draw. I think Kansas is just going to kind of roll through. They're going to play Creighton, South Dakota State, and Wisconsin on their way to the Final Four for me. So I think Kansas lucks out and kind of flies through. I like the idea of them in the same region as LSU after Will Wade gets fired after the notice of allegations, and Bill Self got a lifetime contract after the exact same thing happened there. So just a tale of two coaches doing the exact same thing, but having completely different outcomes. Auburn, I just can't trust in big games anymore. They've come up short too many times, and I think they're ridiculously talented, but I just have them going down to Wisconsin. I don't have any reason for it. I mean, Johnny Davis is good. I don't know much else about Wisconsin, but I just don't trust Auburn right now, so I can't in good faith put them through. And then I guess my other lower seeded team is the East is really tough. So I have in the first round, I love the idea of Indiana UCLA, a blue blood matchup in the round of 64 fires me up. So I have Indiana moving on after beating UCLA, and then Baylor going to the Elite Eight there. But the Purdue-Kentucky matchup, I left blank till the very end because I just couldn't decide who was going to win that game. Purdue is trending down right now after a red-hot start, becoming number 1 for the first time in their program's history this year, and then they had a sluggish end to the season. But I'm just going to throw that out the window and say Purdue is going to the Final Four. They're going to beat Baylor. They've got size. Jaden Ivey is one of the best players in the country. It's going to be Purdue and Gonzaga meeting in the Final Four, and Purdue's luck will finally run out when they meet Gonzaga in the Final Four. So it's going to be Gonzaga-Kansas in the national championship, a double 1 seed. I have Coach K going down to Texas Tech. I put Michigan past Davidson because I'm just thinking about narratives, and I do want Izzo to play Coach K one more time, and I would love for Izzo to beat him. That would be beautiful. I have a couple teams from the play-in games advancing. I got Indiana winning a game, and I think Rutgers is going to beat Notre Dame and then Alabama. So I have Arkansas losing to Vermont and Alabama losing to 11 seed Rutgers, both in the first round. So two of the SEC's 6 teams going down right away. But you just read through this and I could make 100 different brackets.
I think you look ahead to certain matchups
that you really want to see.
That you want to see. Arizona Houston would be a lot of fun. Yep. I think Arizona Villanova, Houston Villanova there in the South. Either of those could be really good. I think the potential for a Houston the Houston potential Illinois game in the second round is something. Loyola against Villanova is another one that could be a lot of fun.
I mean, Villanova, Tennessee will be a great game. I have that one. I have the Sweet 16 there being Arizona versus Illinois,
Yep.
awesome matchup, and Tennessee
Houston,
Villanova,
yeah.
awesome matchup.
Sneaky, really good game. Maybe has the best athletes, like the 10 best athletes. Southern Cal. I got Southern Cal beating Miami. Ed Field has recruited some incredible long athletes out there for Southern Cal, and Auburn we know is long and as athletic as is anybody.
Good game.
That could end up being a really fun one. Again, go back across the bracket to the other side. Kentucky and Murray State in a potential second round game. Matt McMahon is a guy who has been talked about now and will probably have another job. It could very well could be Florida, could be somewhere else. He is a hot name on the coaching board.
Apparently,
for a lot
San
of schools.
Francisco is good, so I had San Francisco beating Murray State.
Oh, okay. Apparently, I like how we're doing
I can't
this.
bear to see Trey Hannibal advancing in the NCAA tournament.
I couldn't figure out North Carolina and Marquette. I know my buddy Murray Kynard there and several of our North Carolina, Scott Tarhizzle, the North Carolina fans there. But I took North Carolina to get by Marquette in that one as well. Oh, one other upset. I stayed with the hot team. I said this off air to you. Virginia Tech. I went with Virginia Tech to beat Texas in the first round. Stay hot, get to the second round with Mike Young. I think we could all agree to pull for Mike Young. Fantastic guy when he was up at Wofford and is doing good things.
I really wanted to have Longwood beat Tennessee.
Well, you can have it. It's just it may not happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put it on your bracket.
Well, if it happens now, I'm going to feel really dumb for not doing it.
803-404-6100. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Ray is up next and wants to weigh in on the weekend that was. Ray, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Good morning. Just wanted to call in and give a big kudos. I think I should use a bigger adjective than that to give to our baseball program and Coach Kingston. I mean, good land. We got, last week we got swept by our bitter in-state rival. We lost the midweek game, lost 4 in a row, and we have the number 1 team in the country in a 3-game series, and we take 2 out of 3. I mean, you're talking about resetting your season and your program. Wow, you couldn't have written it up any better, but it's almost like a fairy tale, but it's not. We did it, and maybe we found a pitcher or two in that series that we can carry on. And also, I just wanted to totally agree with you guys about the basketball situation with our coach. Just come out with a statement today. You've had you've had at least a year to evaluate this, and if I hear that we're still evaluating, oh man, I think I'm gonna jump through my roof. But anyway, and I can't see any of them players coming back. I think Kusar's he's probably got a G League situation, and I guess it's Stevenson. I mean, the way that guy can shoot, he could probably play 15 years over in Europe and make big money. But I'm in the camp of moving on. But regardless, I think a decision needs to be made today. And the good ADs have a folder they carry around. And when I mean a folder, I'm not talking about a manila paper one. I'm talking about a electronic computer folder with names and contacts and plan A, plan B, and this and that. So hopefully Tanner has that as well. But anyway, good show this morning, guys, and thanks for letting me call it.
Appreciate the phone call, Ray. I mean, like we said earlier, you can make a case depending on which direction you want to go with what South Carolina should do. The bottom line is whether you agree with whatever the decision will end up being, I think we're all on board with saying it needs to be done and just move forward. Just absolutely move forward. Get it out there publicly within the next 36 hours by 5 o'clock tomorrow. Get the answer out there. Let Frank and his staff, if they're going to be retained, if they're going to be back for another year, let them figure out what the roster is going to look like. Let them talk to Cousineau. Now, the one thing is where I disagree with Ray, Patrick, I don't think Cousineau can get into the G League, although he's playing better. I'm not going political here, but I don't think he wants to go. I don't know how many basketball players right now would be looking going, hey, this seems like the time to go to Europe to try a professional career there. Factor in that Cousineau's mother we know her backstory, her health issues. It doesn't seem like the best idea to go, even if nothing was going on over in Europe. It doesn't seem like the smartest decision to go further away from her. I think there are some issues there that may actually allow Cousineau. Now, maybe it makes more sense for him to transfer home closer to her, DePaul, Northwestern, the Chicago area, and be close to her for 1 year. I don't think any of us would argue with that. but I don't. It's hard for me to see him right now, given everything that's going on. And he did play well at the end of last season.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has an NBA future, but if he could put together a full 30 games at South Carolina, at DePaul, at somewhere else, maybe he's got a chance to get into the G League then as a two guard.
But we've also talked about the NIL and the opportunity to potentially make money in college. If he transfers, that's mostly out the window. I mean, if you go to DePaul, I can't imagine there's a lot of money to be had there.
I have no
Not that we've heard people saying that South Carolina players aren't making as much as you would think that they were. Maybe there's not much for Couisnard to make here anyway, but at least he's got a name value here. People recognize him when he's walking around. If you want to stay in college and make money for one more year, you would think that South Carolina is the place to do it. I mean, it is a tough decision. I mean, you feel like he doesn't have too much more to accomplish in college basketball, or there's only so much more his stock can be raised. But again, if you don't want to go overseas and you don't want to make whatever G League players make, what do they make, like 50 grand a year?
Yeah. 30 to
30
I
to
mean,
50
look,
grand a year.
G League and going overseas again, obviously you can end up in some certain leagues overseas that pay very well. But those aren't, I think, as easy as some people think. Keyshawn Bryant, we'll see what he elects to do. The other part with Cousineau, with these players, I know that a lot of people talk about how Frank Martin is on the sidelines. Look, these players have had the opportunity to transfer. They're still playing for him.
Yeah.
You and I 2 years ago sat here and was like, "Oh, there's no way AJ Lawson's coming back." Like, look at the way
Mhm.
he and Frank interact, but he came back.
Yeah.
He could have left and gone out, and he came back for a season last year. Obviously, it didn't work out very well. My point on that is, like, I don't know how many players would want to stay, like a Stevenson or a Cousineau or Bryant would want to stay one extra year for a new coach, a new system, whatever it may be. So I think you've got to give those players as well as this coaching staff an understanding of what the next 12 months will hold for them. And you need to do that much, much sooner rather than later. 803-404-6100. We'll wrap up the program. I will get Patrick's opinion on Tom Brady. We've been teasing that. What are the odds for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now? I didn't look to see what the Vegas odds
They
changed.
went from about 220 to 1, I think is what I saw them at, between 200 to 1 and 250 to 1 to 75 to 1.
Beautiful.
Plus 750 right now.
Beautiful.
I saw Michael Bowen, who we had on the show last week, put in a tweet that he got in at 2,200 plus 2,200, and then it dropped to 750.
Very smart. Very smart. We'll wrap up the program when we return. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Check off how I'm doing every morning when I get in here.
Check it off.
I'll just cross them off every morning when we get to the studio. I printed enough. I think I printed 10 off, so everyone can probably do it.
And then we'll figure out what exactly that is. Just be like, oh, brackets.
Yeah.
stuff if we're gonna go to that, like, and have a decent hotel room and stuff.
Yeah.
I think he was gonna get with Heath on that. I wouldn't have it. It was kind of funny because he's like talking about how we do the show and how it's organic and it's a great show, but it can be really tough. And I think, no, not really. Like, we got a couple times. Like, instead of coming in and saying, like, all right, first segment, we're talking this, second,
Right.
this, like, having it. Like, the Heat does that. Heat comes in and, like, all right. $8:51, wrapping up the program here on Monday, March the 14th, as we get you ready for the NCAA tournament. Want to remind you, not this Friday, it got moved, not this Friday, but next Friday, March 25th, we will be hosting our 2022 1075 The Game Spring Open. It'll be out at the Windermere Club, 10 a.m. shotgun start, two-person teams, $200 per team, two-person captain's choice. We'll have raffle prizes. Closest to the pin, $1 million hole sponsored by Buford Lending, plus breakfast and lunch. All entries get a free golf membership until March 31st. You can head over to 1075thegame.com for registration information. It is the 2022 1075 The Game Spring Open. It is next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday. We've had a date change on that. It'll be next Friday, March 25th at the Windermere Club in Blythewood. You can go over to 1075thegame.com for registration information. So the local news, South Carolina takes 2 of 3 from Texas. Maybe rights the ship there for the season with the baseball program. We'll see. Another difficult series this coming weekend against Tennessee. We'll talk about that throughout the week. The NCAA tournament. We'll see what news pops up as it pertains to South Carolina and the basketball coaching search, or if there is indeed going to be one. or if Frank Martin will be retained. We'll talk about that as we go through the week. But the national news somehow last night, just Tom Brady. Egotistical? Like, was there a reason that last night needed to be the time to put that news out?
I genuinely wonder that. Does he know that the sports world was talking about the NCAA tournament getting announced and it was kind of a big time? I don't think that he would have just intentionally sabotaged that moment or chosen that time. But there was also the video of him with Ronaldo.
I saw that. Yeah.
Where it looked like Ronaldo said, "You're done, right?" And Brady said, it looked like he was shrugging his shoulders. I don't know, probably.
Yeah.
I also don't know, when did he decide that he was coming back? Did he genuinely, in his heart, want to retire and say, I'm content, I'm ready to go? Was it actually Giselle saying, come on, man, retire? And he's like, okay, fine. And he just annoyed her over the last month. And Tom Brady's good in small doses, but when he's around you all day, it's just really annoying because he's like, just nonstop and wants to do this and that and that. And he's got every part of his day regimented, and Giselle just wants to hang out by the pool. I mean,
good point.
I'm so fascinated by all of the behind the scenes stuff here. It was 40 days. How soon into those 40 days did he know that it was not going to be a permanent retirement?
Or did he really not plan to retire? He just kind of messed with people.
No, I really think that he didn't want to retire at all, but just caved to Giselle. And then finally, over the last month, she was like, oh my gosh, fine, go play football again. I don't care.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. You're so annoying.
After the second pedicure she took him to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's just
couples bonding.
He's just pop. Yeah, like she's in there. She's trying to do something, like during the day. It's like noon. The kids are off at school, and he's like popping in, like, hey, you want some avocado ice cream? Or
I bet
you
Tom
want
Brady,
to go somewhere?
They're like, mom takes us to DQ. Leave us alone.
Yeah.
he probably regiments every part of the day. He's like, we're going to do a kickboxing lesson at 7 a.m.
Yes.
And then at 8:30, we're going to do this and that and that. And she's like, no, this is retirement. You're supposed to be retired. We're supposed to hang out, relax. That's why we moved to Florida.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It's really interesting. I get the impression he never wanted to retire.
Yeah.
Well,
that would be my
I think
guess.
the fact that it seemed to almost from a week after start debating, like, oh, wait a minute, is he going to end up in San Francisco? Is he going to come back? Is there something else he's going to do? It never seemed like he truly went away.
Yeah. He left the door open from day one.
Yeah, I mean, it was I don't want to say it was a rushed decision, but it does feel like he didn't take the time to thoroughly remove himself from football.
Right.
For all we know, Gronk was calling up. Gronk's going, hey, look, I've gotten myself back into shape. I can do one
If we
more
need
year.
to, yeah.
I can do one more year, make another cool, $4, $5, $6 million, and then we can all ride off into the sunset. For all we know, it was Gronk who brought him back, not
Could be.
Giselle.
But I think Gronk was all on board with, okay, we're retired. Good. I got a festival lined up for every weekend of this summer.
Yeah, I was to say, actually, I've got a honeydew list because those shutters need to be
Right.
painted, and that's what it was. It was the honeydew list.
Yeah, maybe that's it. He's been on the ladder outside of the house trying to get all the St. Patrick's Day decorations up
Mhm.
around the Brady household. It's been a lot of fun. Anything you've missed, you can go back to the 1075thegame.com podcast page and check out any segments tomorrow. JC Sherbert will join us at 8:20. Spring practice for the Gamecocks gets going. Patrick, good to have you back. Jen, good job on the NASCAR pick as always. This is the early game, 1075 the game.
All right. Everybody, thanks for joining. Sorry I was an hour late. We'll be better tomorrow. There was a lot going on this morning. I need to go have a meeting and then figure out how to get my keys back from Nashville. So we'll see you in the morning.
Good luck, bud.